Hi everyone, welcome to another video by ESL Fluency. In this video, I'm going to talk about IELTS preparation. There are a lot of resources out there targeting specific areas of the language or the exam. It's easy to get buried under the avalanche of books, resources, videos, advice, or courses. But here is a simple path towards improving your language proficiency and IELTS band score. The first thing you need to do is get to know the test format, the requirements for each part of the test, and the types of questions you'll see in each section. If you are watching this on ESL Fluency's YouTube channel, you can find the links for each one in the description down below. Now, after you've familiarized yourself with all that, it's time for you to see where you are when it comes to your level. There are three options here for you. The first option is to take a full test at home using the latest Cambridge IELTS books. Right now, as I'm making this video, Cambridge IELTS book number 18 is the latest in the series. Basically, you take a full-time test under exam conditions and then check your answers using the answer key and the IELTS writing and speaking band descriptors. You can easily find the right answers to reading and listening questions, but when it comes to the other two skills, some test takers don't know what they have done wrong, which brings us to our second option. Option 2 is to take a full mock test including all four skills at the same test center in which you are going to take the exam. Almost all the test centers now provide this service, which is a lot cheaper than the actual test. Depending on the test center, the feedback report you'll receive on your writing and speaking might be general or in-depth. But at least you'll get to be familiar with the test environment, which will help you reduce your stress levels. Option 3 is to send your writing samples to a qualified expert to receive detailed feedback and a band score estimate along with any questions you have. As for speaking, taking a live mock test with such a person to receive detailed feedback on your speaking skills will give you plenty of information about what you need to work on. These are the most reliable ways of diagnosing your strengths and weaknesses. After you've done this, your preparation begins because you need to know your weaknesses so that you design an effective study plan for yourself. Step 3. If your score was lower than your target band score, you should start using preparation materials targeting your weaknesses. Here is a step-by-step guide on how to practice each skill. Listening. If you need to focus more on your listening skills, looking for talk shows, radio stations, or podcasts in the British, Australian, and American accents will help you become familiar with them. Some other practice books with a wide range of exercises will also help you improve your listening skills before you take another practice test to see how much you have moved forward. If it's the sentence structures or vocabulary that's dragging you down, it's usually a sign of low proficiency level. In this case, you need to work on your general English proficiency first before moving on with your test preparation. There are self-study resources for this in the description as well, but some students prefer to receive personalized teaching, which is a good idea to speed things up. Reading. In your practice tests, don't just look at the answer key and then move on. Think about why you made that mistake. Just like listening, make a list of the things that are dragging you down. Then, you'll have a better picture of what you need to work on. But if your reading speed is low and you're not used to reading long passages, starting small and moving your way up is a good idea. For example, you can start reading short newspaper articles, well-written blog posts, or articles from sources like Scientific American. Reading magazines on topics you are interested in will also help you get used to reading longer and longer texts. It is also a good idea to stop at the end of each paragraph and summarize it. Little by little, Make your stops less frequent until you are able to read the entire text without having to stop. Then you can take a full reading test to see how much you've improved and what is dragging you down. Target that area until you get rid of all those weaknesses one by one. Speaking. Now we are talking about a productive skill. There is no content for you to absorb. You need to produce. In other words, start talking. Lower level students tend to use simple structures and often make mistakes when it comes to vocabulary and grammar. Their hesitations or pauses are usually language related, not just to come up with ideas. If you are preparing on your own, a good way to practice is by recording your speaking on your smartphone and then listening to it to identify your mistakes and the things that are dragging you down. You'll be surprised at how many errors you can spot this way. For shy people, a good way is to speak in front of a mirror. It may sound silly at first, but this is a simple and proven way of simulating a face-to-face conversation with a person so that you become used to it. But if you have a friend or relative you can talk to in English, that would be a better option. Don't forget to have a live mock test from time to time with a qualified teacher to see if you are moving on the right direction and also learn the things you've missed. Writing. Just like speaking, writing requires you to think of ideas and put them into words and sentences. Even though this skill allows more time for you to think and prepare your response, it has other areas that you don't usually think about when you're speaking, like spelling and punctuation. Plus, you need to read a lot of well-written essays and articles to be able to write well. After all, a great writer is an avid reader too. This is why reading authentic materials that I talked about earlier should become a part of your test preparation. And just like speaking, you might need to have your essays, reports, or letters checked by an expert from time to time to adjust your preparation plan. You do this cycle of evaluating and working on your weaknesses until they fade away and you reach your desired band score. But don't forget to check whether your strengths have not deteriorated. For example, if you can already score high in the listening module, it doesn't mean you should forget about it until the test day. This is why taking a full mock test using Cambridge IELTS books on a weekly basis is recommended. The time you need to be fully prepared for the test depends on the gap between your current level and your target band score. This time period varies from a few days to a few months or even in some cases more. After you've reached your target band score in your preparation, you can then go ahead and book a test at a reputable test center. Now that you know how to prepare, it's time to talk about what you need to do or not to do in your preparation period. Number 1. You also need to use non-IELTS materials to improve your proficiency level. After all, IELTS is a language proficiency test. Only using practice tests is not a good idea for the majority of test takers, because that way you are basically targeting test taking skills and not your language weaknesses. This usually leads to getting stuck at a particular band score without moving forward. Number 2. Almost all the exam preparation teachers and IELTS examiners agree on the fact that if you're not using the right materials, you're not practicing at all. For example, in the first task of the IELTS academic writing module, you are going to write a report about a chart or some sort of diagram. These tasks are carefully designed by test writers so that they target specific areas of the language. If you pick random charts on the internet and practice with those, you might even do more harm than good because they are not designed for a language test. Number 3. Don't take a practice test every single day. This will drain your time and energy and leave little for you to work on your weaknesses. Depending on your free time, areas of weaknesses, and your study plan, taking only 1 or 2 full tests a week will be enough. Finally, as I mentioned before, some students may need external help with their preparation, especially when it comes to writing and speaking. Imagine you spend weeks on improving your writing or listening skills and still getting the same low score. For many test takers, this expensive and frustrating cycle of retaking the test and getting disappointing results is psychologically exhausting. How can you figure out what's dragging you down? What if you received detailed personalized feedback on your skills from an expert? Will that help you prepare faster and put this test behind you once and for all? Here on ESLFluency.com, we've designed courses and evaluation services that will help you in your IELTS journey. There are sample videos on this channel, and you can find written evaluation samples and student testimonials on our website. Thank you everyone for watching. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe for more, and if you have any questions, feel free to comment. See you in the next one.